So am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, you are on mute.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so please change the slide. While waiting for others to come in, here are some rules and reminder to keep in mind. Turn off your camera and microphone. Feel free to type your question in the chat box. Question will be entertained at the Q&A after the presentation. Good morning, everyone. I am Aditi Sharma, lead of GDSC IERT. I would like to welcome you to this wonderful session. Before moving ahead, I would like to introduce you all with our alumna, Soumya Shukla ma'am, from the batch of 2011. She is a senior software developer at YouTube with experience over a decade. She is a highly skilled software engineer. I'm not sure of anyone from our college doing better than her. She started her first job in Amazon as SD1 and promoted to SD2, second in Walmart, third in Facebook, where she was a tech lead, fourth in Twitter as senior software developer, and now she is a senior software developer at Google itself. We have talked so much technical achievement. I can say she is one of the best alumni of our college. I would like to call today's host RP Akaragav Pandey, who is ex GDSC member of WebD domain. Now he will proceed the interaction with overachiever Soumya ma'am. Raghav, over to you.
Thank you very much, Aditya. Am I visible? Yeah, I guess I'm visible. Okay. So I'm audible to everybody. If Aditya, you can just tell me that I'm
Yes.
audible or not. Okay, nice. Okay. So I'm just trying to calm myself because you don't get to interview a legend every day. So I guess, yeah, I would need some time to just calm myself. So as Aditi said, it was completely right that ma'am is an overachiever. But sometimes I think that it is just a small bird because it cannot captivate the achievement that she has been through over all the years. So I was just going through her LinkedIn and I saw she has worked in Walmart, she has worked in Facebook, and I was just writing Fang, and I saw that if you just remove Apple and Netflix out of Fang, she has worked in the rest of three. So it is kind of an achievement, and I guess for the last 12 years, see, you just take the name of the company and she has worked in there. And she started working in Amazon when Amazon was not even operable in India. Amazon was launched in 2013, I guess, according to Wikipedia, and she was working in Amazon in 2011. So if you consider in Indian terms, Amazon was still a kind of startup or going to be a corporate company which was going to still start. So she was working in Amazon way before it started in India. And I guess for somebody of her caliber, the English language has defined a word called astonishing. You just cannot say that those are just 12 years of her career. There are, you call it the astonishing 12 years of her career. So, yeah, it's just commendable to see somebody like of her caliber and interviewing her today. It's a great honor for me to interview her. So, I would start by saying namaskara to her. I would say I had Googled that because that's how people greet in Bengaluru. I guess that's what Google says. So, a very namaskara to you, ma'am.
Namaskar. Thank you, Raghav and Aditi, for that wonderful introduction. I'm completely overwhelmed. Thank you so much. I think now that you guys say, I think from your level, it does seem like a great profile, but I'm pretty sure all of you have that caliber. And given just the right push in the correct direction, I'm sure all of you would be able to do it as well.
Yeah, those are great words, and we just can wish for it, and we would see in the next 12 years of our career, but we can't be sure. So, is this a Sunday, just a normal Sunday for you, or it is a working Sunday for you, ma'am?
No, I think the best part about working for all of these big companies is that your Saturdays and Sundays are your Saturdays and Sundays, unless of
Okay,
course there's a big issue, something is down or anything. But yeah,
okay,
otherwise it's a proper Sunday.
okay. So, you currently work in the YouTube division of the Google.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, nice, nice. I shouldn't be saying this, but how is Google nowadays? I know that it's less crowded nowadays, but how it is?
No, of course. I think definitely, like culture wise, Google is one of the all these companies that I've worked for, they have had a very good culture. Google, of course, is like the star of all of those things that have been creating this culture, helping other companies create their culture as well. So I think last few days were a little stressful. I'm not sure if you guys are following the tech news,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. We are following. We are following. Those are stress days for us as well.
so yeah, there are a bit of layoffs happening, but I think for India it happened about 2 weeks back.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now the stress has gone. It was a little extra for me and my team, mostly because I basically joined a startup called SimSim, which was acquired by Google or the YouTube.
Okay.
Basically we got some reorg done and all of those things in addition to that layoff, but now I think things are settling down. Hopefully the overall macroeconomics and the recession that's basically going on in US should calm down in a few months, and hopefully I'll see some of you guys there as freshers.
Yeah, yeah. We hope that as well. Every day we just open Instagram or Twitter, and it's like, oh, more competition coming in. So, ma'am, you graduated in 2011, and as I said, that it has been 12 years since then. So, are you still in touch with anybody of that batch?
Of course, like my best friend was from there. I think that was one of the best things about that college. I still
Yeah.
am in touch with her. I also like there were a lot of folks that all my friends. I not like in touch as in daily, but we still like if any one of us needs anything, we can easily call out. We do have a WhatsApp group where we keep updating our recent life changes and stuff like that.
So did you updated them that, hey, I'm going on an interview? They've called me.
So actually, funny story. I
Yeah,
was approached by somebody a few weeks back. I think back in December.
yeah, yeah,
At that point of time, I had shared it with everyone, and unfortunately, I got sick, so sick that I almost kind of lost my voice. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had this thing in my back of my mind. Let's not jinx it this time. I actually did have a fever last night as well.
Oh shit.
But yeah, it's better than last time. So this time I thought I'll finish it off first and then share the links with everyone.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay. Yeah, we were preparing as well for the event last time as well. And it was
Yeah.
like, oh, the dengue has came, and we were like, shit,
Yeah.
just kill that fucking mosquito. Okay. So, how was our college back in 2011? Like, what was the environment in the college back then?
I think it was like, as I've been hearing from all of you, it's definitely not one of the best infrastructures. Like you go there. My
Definitely.
husband, he's from IIT Kharagpur, and he couldn't.
Oh,
He saw the college and he was like, this is it. But like if you keep the infrastructure apart, I think I have one of the best teachers that I've had in IIT. As I said, I have made some friends for life that probably wouldn't have happened if it was another college. But I think I absolutely loved my time. It was the first time that you get this sense of college is definitely like you get the first sense of freedom, right?
yes.
You do a lot of things on your own. No more hand holding like you got in school. So I definitely had a very good time at IIT.
Nice. Nice. We would also say that we are also having a nice time in IRT. So, as we are currently in college, and we generally see that nowadays we have binary options to for our career. That either you can go for GATE to do masters from IITs, or you can choose the way of off-campus placements to take them. So, in your time, was this the scenario as well, or was it different from this?
No, no, I think it was pretty much similar. I actually did get into GATE as well. I got CS at MNIT, but I
Oh,
think
nice.
it's a question of personal choice. Like for me, I did not want to get into research, or I wanted to actually go for a job where I could actually code. So for me, it did not make a lot of sense because just by doing an MTech, if you're getting placed, like for example, for me, I got placed in Amazon, so it wouldn't have made much of a difference to spend those 2 years doing MTech, and then because the salary, the position, all of those things would have remained the same. But again, like if anybody is interested in following that line, or unfortunately given the current situation, if you do not have a very good placement and you want to not waste your time with like random companies, I think both of them are a great choice. So it definitely is a preference that you have on your own. For me, definitely, I hated studying.
We all
How
do. We all do.
I how I studied for the 4 years in BTech was a big achievement for me. So I knew that if I went for towards another academic line, it would not have done good for my career. But if you're somebody who's interested in going deep, getting a specialization today, I think AI is one of the very big things. So if you want to get a specialization like that and get jobs, just particular those things, I think it's a good thing. And I think, as I said, like if you are not able to get in a good company starting from the placement or maybe off campuses, again, there I think both options are good. After a year or so, nobody cares which college you're from, as
Yeah.
long as you're performing well, you know how to crack interviews. You could spend that 1 year in a maybe not so great company and then just try applying everywhere. If you can get an off campus, then that's absolutely great. If you can get companies to come to your college, then there's nothing better than that.
Yeah. We can just beg them, and they still won't come.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that we had an issue with too. I think only TCS came at that time. I'm not sure about what's the situation right now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Uh,
you do like if you want to do something, I'm pretty sure at least now there are a lot of good alumni from the college, so you'll be able to get a lot of help. I'll be able to help. Like if you anyone wants to get referred at Google, start preparing for that. I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, okay. That was the whole point of this meeting. Let's get connected on LinkedIn. Let's finish this talk. It's over. We don't need anything else. Okay. So nowadays it's quite easier to get aware about the off campus placements. You just go on YouTube and type off campus
Yeah.
placements. You will get hundred of videos and a lot of blogs on just random searching on Google. So it's kind of easier to say to your mind that okay, I can get this. There are people who are getting jobs. But back in your time, the internet was not so inclusive. So just
Yes.
to tell yourself that okay, this is possible, this is a possibility, and I can get that job. So how did you come to this point, to this conclusion that okay, I can do this and it is possible?
I think it takes a lot of trial and error. Definitely, as you said, the internet was not that great at that time. You did not have Instagram. There was Facebook, but it had just come up, and it was a social platform rather than the giant
Professional
thing it is
platform.
today. Yeah. So it was difficult. I think, which is why I was mostly. That was mostly the reason why I got into Gate, because I wanted to make sure that at least if nothing else works, then I'll have that as a plan B. But I was trying out a lot of things. I think networking here helps a lot. So
Yes.
for my case, how I got into Amazon was that a friend of a friend was in Amazon, and he kind of referred my CV. Of course, you have to crack those interviews after that. So the preparation and all I had to do. But at least having those people who can just refer you, I think again it's very much easier today because you can get in touch with the HRs on LinkedIn. You can get in touch with the alumni. You can even, like, I have had random people just pinging me on LinkedIn and asking me to refer them. So I think it's just about just keep trying to find, and something would hit. So in my
Yeah.
case, this friend of a friend referred, and then there was an off-campus interview that happened in Delhi. So we went there, and then like the preparation, of course, you have to do. I think for some of these big companies, again, things are a little bit easier now because you have so many YouTube channels that will tell you how to prepare.
Yeah. Nice.
But at the end of the day, if you work hard and if you keep doing something, something would hit.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you talked about preparation, and as you also said that there are more resources nowadays. So there were less of resources back then. So how did you prepare for Amazon? Like, what was the preparation, and how long did it take to prepare you for Amazon?
I think I kind of did it for my case. I think I had a hard limit because this off-campus thing was happening for a lot of people, so I couldn't change the dates. But a lot of companies now give you the option that you can say that, okay, I'll need so many days to prepare, and then I'll give the interview. So in my case, I think I had about 3 or 4 weeks. What I did was basically went on the sites like Career Cup was a big thing then. Geeks for Geeks were there, so just like tried out all of these things. Tried coding. Fortunately for me, I have loved coding since I think school. We had basic programming. Basic is a language. I'm not sure if anyone knows about that. So
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It is.
that was there, I think, since class fifth or sixth, and I've absolutely loved coding. So like in the evenings, I would just like take these questions, try to solve them on my own, but practice. That is what helped a lot.
Oh, nice, nice. So, ma'am, you said your husband is from IIT Kharagpur, so he's also an engineer.
Yes, yes.
Nice. So we have got two referrals,
Yeah, yeah, of
one
course.
for you and one for the host.
I have a lot of friends as well in all of these companies that we've talked about. So you guys have a lot of things. Just ping me on LinkedIn and share your CV. I'll be very happy to forward it.
Uh, okay, okay. Well, now I won't be much greedy. So let's moving on further. So, I saw your LinkedIn and I saw you have worked in Meta London also. So how did that opportunity came in your way and how it was your experience? Were you in London for that job or it was like work from home something like that?
No, I was in London for around 2.5 years. How I came about it was mostly, again, I think networking helps here. So I had a couple of friends who were moving from Walmart to Facebook, and they had friends who had moved. So it was kind of a chain, friends of a friends of friends. So basically, yeah, if one person went, at that point of time, me and my husband, we were kind of bored, mostly because we've been doing the same kind of job. So we wanted to try out something new. I was also trying for an internal transfer to US with Walmart, but that was taking a long time. So I also started exploring other options. And when a friend, like a colleague who was in the same team, she went for Facebook, and then I got her to refer me and my husband. So we both went to Facebook together. Uh,
Nice.
but yeah, so we were there for around 2.5 years. Unfortunately, 1.5 years of that was COVID and lockdown, so we couldn't do much.
Yeah, nice.
But
Oh,
I think,
that's
yeah, we had
uh,
a lot of fun in the first year.
nice, nice. So you visited that London Bridge where movies of Karan Johars were shot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and Preeti Zinta, Shah Rukh Khan, everybody goes there and just cries.
Yes, yes. Like London Bridge, surprisingly, was not so popular with the locals there. There's another Tower Bridge which was more famous. But yeah,
Oh.
I think I was also under the impression that that's the first thing that I'll see when I go there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice. Okay. So your husband currently works in which company?
He's currently working for Uber.
Oh, nice, nice. Nice. So, you were impacted from the recession, and your friends were also. So, how did you manage the stress of recession? And we are graduating, and we see that the number of opportunities are going lesser nowadays. So they are constantly decreasing. So, what kind of preparation do we need to do for the upcoming days as we graduate?
I think regarding the opportunities, I think don't worry about it. This always, like, it'll go up, it'll go down. I think just last year, both Google and Facebook had declared that they'll be hiring more than 1,000 people. Google was expanding a lot in India, especially in
Yeah,
Bangalore. So I think it keeps changing. Right now, people are not hiring, but I'm pretty sure in 6 months, like even with the recession, Google is still hiring for the Google Cloud teams. So it you shouldn't worry about that. There will always be opportunities, and especially today, I think there are a lot of great startups coming up. It seems a little scary, especially for somebody just out of college to go for a startup, but I think they are also a great way of learning things very quickly. Like in a big company, you also have a lot of like red tape you have to go through. Like you have to make sure you get all the approvals and everything, versus in a startup you can be quick, you can make mistakes, nobody's going to say anything to you about that. So they are also a great way of starting up your career, and you learn a lot of things through startup.
yeah.
So
In
I
a
think
startup, you are on your own.
not on your own. There are a lot of good mentors that you can get, but yeah, it's a little less mentored compared to big companies. So
Yeah,
that is why it seems scary, but then once you're left in that situation and there's nothing else to do, you figure out things. You try to try things on your own, and that is why you basically learn much faster than somebody who's gone for a bigger company. That's why I think even startups are a great option. Regarding the layoffs, it was a little stressful, just because of the unknown. Like for example, in US, you just got an email one day that said you may or may you are laid off or
laid
not.
off. Yes.
But here we had around a couple of like a month or so where we didn't know what's going to happen, how many people are getting laid off. So that's why it was a little difficult. But I think at the end, like after 12 years of experience, I think one thing I'm confident about is that even if I'm laid off, I'll crack the interview for another company. So
Yeah, trust in the caliber.
so because like after you've given a couple of interviews, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
You know that these are the kind of questions you'll get. You know how to prepare, you know how to showcase your skills and everything. So interviews become less of a monster than they are
yeah,
at when you're starting up. So
yeah,
that's why I think plus I think the good part about Google is that they have a very nice severance package. So I think the colleagues that I have, they basically are getting kind of like almost 5 or 6 months of salary.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. We saw that. We
yeah.
saw that.
Yeah, so basically that was a good thing. I was planning with my husband what we'll do, like if I got laid off. And one of the things that we'll maybe take a holiday for a couple of months because you'll still be getting the salary. But yeah, not saying that getting laid off is a great thing. I think it definitely gives you a lot of extra headache. Like you're comfortable with a job, you're thinking about growing there, and then suddenly everything changes. So it is definitely a very stressful situation to be in. But You adapt, right? The changes are always going to be there, so you adapt and then you figure out what's the best way forward.
Nice, nice. Okay. So when you were saying that you said that you figure out things. So talking upon figuring out things, I would say that when we are in college, somehow we also get like confused between should we be doing development, should we be doing competitive programming, or there are so many now other trending techs that AI, ML, so many of them, and you would get somebody on YouTube who says that okay, don't do ML because you won't get jobs, you won't get better jobs, there are not good opportunities for ML, and somebody would say just do development and you will get a job, or someone would say that no, you must do DSA and CP. So it is kind of confusing that what one should consistently be doing in order to achieve a stagnant success in coming years. So what would be your like opinion on that?
Right. So I think one of the very big problems for your generation is definitely internet. I think it's a both it's a very good tool as well as it confuses you a lot because everybody has a different opinion, and I think based on that, what you can definitely say that there are no bad choices unless you are going for something very horrible. I think even today the like in my time, being a artist, being somebody who plays the guitar, who plays music, was a big no. But right now
Yes.
you see those small Instagram influencers who are earning a lot just with that. So I think the best thing about, again, with the internet today is that there are no bad choices, which is why I would always encourage anyone who asks for my advice is to go for something that excites you. uh, Job is something like, the work that you're doing is a bigger part of you than your even your family. Sometimes, like, you're so like you have so much work that you don't even get time to spend with your family. So which is why, if you're not doing something that is interesting, something that helps you get up every day and be excited, oh, today I'm going to do this, then there's no point putting all that effort. You're just not doing it for the money, right? There are a lot of ways
Yes.
of earning money. You can uh, there, I would say, go invest in something, learn more about investment, put your money in stocks, and you learn much more than what you would do through these jobs. But definitely go for something that excites you, something that you're eager to learn more about, something where you think that you will make a difference, rather than just saying that, okay, this is the hot trending topic at this point and let me go for it. Because in the long run you will burn out, you will start thinking, why am I doing this? So you need to have a good answer for why am I doing this. Like
Yes.
at night you're on call and you'll get a ping at 5 o'clock in the morning saying that some code that you wrote is broken. Then you need a good motivation to get up and try to fix that. And
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
just doing it for the money, it doesn't cut it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you're just doing it for the money, you would be like, okay, I'm not just fixing that code and I'm just gonna resign the next day.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why go for something like, again, development, competitive programming, AI, ML, all of these are really great options. Anyone who says there is no job for any particular field, they're not correct. There are a lot of jobs. It's just about finding your correct fit, and having that enthusiasm that I'll go and find something in this particular field because I'm excited about this.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, yeah. You were saying kind of key. Just go and get your hands dirty. What you like, so you will
Exactly.
get to
Try
know.
out things. I think in your college you do have a lot of time. You might guys might disagree right now, but compared to the kind of schedule I have right now, you guys have a lot of time in college. Explore these options. Do competitive programming. Do development. Do try out something with ML. And there are a lot of tutorials out there. There are a lot of things that you can do. Try all those things and see what excites you, and then go for it.
Nice. So, considering you said that we can try out things, one scenario comes in my mind that if you were in our college right now, so what would be the path that you would have chosen to be what you are right now?
To be very honest, I would have probably taken a little different route, mostly because I think I also talked about I'm really passionate about graphics and animation. So I've been trying out for it now also, but I think if I was in college, I would definitely try out more for that, build my skills more on that. But that's like a personal thing. If I still wanted to get, like, I would still want to, like, I'm not saying that what I'm currently doing I don't enjoy that. I do enjoy that as well. But again, like, trying out new things, I think at that point of time I did not talk to a lot of people except my people who were there in my college. I would definitely talk to other people, try to figure out because every college has a different set of teachers, a different set of students, and everybody has a different perspective. So networking in that sense would definitely help. And then if I could get in touch with maybe people who were from my college who were doing different kind of things, talking to them, just spending a few minutes, I think something like this, doing a session with the alumni, I think that would definitely be helpful because you get these different ideas about what else is out there.
Yes, yes, right, right. So whenever we prepare, we kind of don't know that what is the exact way to prepare.
Yeah,
So even if I'm talking about like development or anything,
yeah.
so what is the best way to prepare for that particular trending technology, or even if it is normal just data structures and algorithms, how can one prepare for the same?
Right. I think for programming, I would definitely say there are a lot of good sites, Career Cup, Geeks for Geeks, Interview Bit, and they also have these coding competitions that go on. So you don't have to like do a competitive programming as such that you have to get the time in this limit or space in this limit. Just go and try to solve those questions. Even if you don't want to write the code, at least try to solve that problem in your head that this is how I would do that. Practice is, I think there's no shortcut to coding in terms of practice. You have to practice a lot. Even if you know all the theory and you've never solved a question in your life, then things becomes a little difficult. So I think practice would definitely be the first and foremost thing that you should do. Apart from that, I think there are a lot of sites now that also sites or maybe personal blogs where people talk about their experience in an interview. So
Yes, yes.
listen to them, see what questions, not just the questions, but the kind of HRs they got in touch with, the kind of interviewers they got. So just to give you an idea, so you're not going blind in an interview. You do have an idea about what's happening. So reading up on those, just watching YouTube videos about those, and take everything with a pinch of salt. Not everyone is telling you the right things, but you do get an idea of what's happening out there. And I think the interviews in a lot of places is different. Like interviews in India is much different from what it happened for me in UK. So those things are different, but getting the different perspective, learning from those things would again help a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. So, like, considering the interview tips and how should one prepare, I would ask you that what are the things that you would look out into a candidate? That okay, these are the things that I would see. Okay, that he's nice and he should be interviewed.
Hmm. So I think technical skills are definitely the first thing that anybody would be looking at. You could be a great person, but if you don't have those skills, then nothing else matters. And that is considerably easier to do as well because you can practice, you can get mock interviews, all of these things you can practice and get your thoughts around that. The other thing I would say that I look into is their attitude. You definitely, like, when you're interviewing somebody, you're potentially looking for somebody who might end up working with you. So if there's somebody who's not talking nicely, who don't take up your hints, who's maybe demeaning or something like that, so then you, even if they're very good at their technical skills, you'll probably wouldn't like, those things are considered as red flags. So you would call them out, and if a lot of people think that this person is um, not somebody you would want to work with, then no matter how good technical skills you have, you might get rejected. I think this is something that all of the interview trainings I've had, like all of these companies do a training. These red flags are always something that everybody discusses at the end. Your attitude matters a lot. So which doesn't mean that you have to change your personality, or if you're a loudspeaker, then especially like make yourself. It's just about respecting the person. If they're giving you hints, take those hints. Try to, if they're trying to stir you in another direction, see why they're trying to stir it. Don't just be very adamant that no, this is going to work, unless you're absolutely 100% sure that this is going to work. So that would definitely help. Apart from that, I think adaptability is something that really matters. So let's say you get a question, you try to solve it for 10 minutes and you're not getting anywhere. The person will try to give you a hint. They'll try to see. So in a lot of interviews, the interviewer is not looking for the perfect answer. They're trying to understand what you are thinking, how you are approaching that problem. And if your approach is good, in a lot of cases, that goes ahead as a green flag as well. So always talk about what you're thinking. Don't just like think in your mind. This is something that took me a lot of practice, because I'm a silent thinker. But talk about what you're thinking. Even if you think what you're saying is wrong, you can call it out later that I'm just thinking aloud and I might be wrong, but this is what I think. Maybe we should do something like this. And then when they give you hints, try to see if you can use those hints. So all of those things matter as well. Initially, I think, unfortunately, for the first year or so, your CV matters, mostly because the HRs have a lot of profiles and they can't just randomly call everyone, right? So that's why for the first year, your marks, your CV does matter. But once you get into a company, and if you're doing good job, if you know what you're working on, if you understand what you're working on, then those things don't matter. So it'll be how you get your interviews cleared and what are the projects that you worked on. So definitely don't lie. That is something that seems easy, but a lot of interviewers are skilled, so they'll catch you very easily. Don't lie. Talk about things. If you haven't had a chance to work on really good projects, call that out, that I've been trying, I've been talking to my manager, but I've never got a chance to do that. Or just be honest. And if you're honest and if you're able to clear those interviews, then I think after a year or so, those things don't matter. Your marks, your college, all of those things don't matter. In fact, even your specialization, I know very good engineers who are from maybe a electronics background, electrical background, IP background. I know some of them. They've after a point, all of those things don't matter. It's just the kind of work that you've done and how good you are at cracking those interviews.
Okay, nice. So I would like to ask you that, as you said, that your marks don't matter after 1 or 2 years, but as far as we have been informed, or I think we know that they do matter when you are a freshie, right?
Yes, yes.
For your resumes to get shortlisted and all that. So what would be the optimal range of those SGPAs or CGPAs to be around, so that you can say that, okay, now I'm at a comfortable range and I can do other things.
I think there's no specific range as such, because all the companies have a different range. Uh, some of the companies go really high, some of them are like in the average zone. I know for a fact that there are companies who do not select people with very high CGPA, because they know that their work is not good enough to retain them. So they don't even
Okay.
hire you if you have a very good CGPA. So I think go for whatever works for you. I think always try that you can get as much as you can. As I said, initially it does matter, because it basically tells out to the interviewer that you work hard at something, that given a problem, you try to figure out. At the end of the day, exams are also a kind of problem that you have to solve, right? So that just gives them feedback that you're not somebody who shies away from hard work. But this doesn't mean that you have to, everyone has to get like a 10 pointer, or CGPA has to be greater than 9 or something. There are a lot of folks who did not have a nice CGPA, but the way they cleared their interviews, they go through things. So try for whatever max you can achieve. I think try for as long as you can. At the end of an exam, you can tell yourself that I did my best. I think that's a good place to be.
Yeah. So in the end, I would like to ask you, what was your CGPA?
I think it was around 87%. I think we
Okay.
had percentages at that time.
Okay.
So
Nice.
overall, yeah.
Okay. So, like, talking about the projects that we should make as a fresher, what are the kinds of projects that are good and that will get us shortlisted for any startup or any good company? And what are those, what are the basic elements that one should have, that, okay, this is enough. I have done DSA, I have done these kinds of projects. So, what kind of projects are more good to do?
Again, I would say there, go with something that excites you. because I think I remember I did something around. We made a paint kind of a tool where you could do collaborative painting across multiple laptops. So that was, I had fun doing those things. I had fun understanding how graphics works, how these canvases work, and all those things. So I think I had fun, because of which I probably added a lot more features than were required. So if you're having fun doing those things, I think there are a lot of great things now. I think there's AI, there's ML, all of those things are really interesting. uh, don't, like, it's very easy to get a project and then learn up about it and then say that I did it. I would advise, make those projects yourself, try to add features, even if there's just one feature. But if you have done it, and if you know it through and through, that would, like, the maybe your vivas and the exam people, like, they might not be able to know that, but once you go for these companies, they will be able to figure out whether you worked on it or not. So go for something. I think there are a lot of tutorials. Even if you're just following a tutorial word by word, at least do those things, just do it. And I think again, I would say that there are a lot of great options right now. Use something with AI. That's definitely one of the hot topics. ML has maybe a little bit of boring stuff, because it's all about data, but there are, I know a lot of people who love data. So if you could do something around that, maybe if there's something that could help you today in your daily life, that would be again an amazing thing. So try to figure out what are some of the things that you are struggling with, and maybe you can automate that. Maybe that would, you can give it to the college at the end of the day, and it would be helpful there. So just explore. I think there are a lot of really, really good tutorials out there. Try to follow them. Try to learn a new technology, maybe a language that you haven't worked with. JavaScript is one of the hot topics these days, so maybe learn that. So you're just not making your project, but you're also learning a new language. So all of these things, like, because with a company, I think because I've worked with so many companies, I know that it's more about having that will to learn new things, because all of these companies have different tech stacks. Bigger companies like Facebook and Google, they have their own stuff. So you won't even, if you try to find answers on Stack Overflow, you won't get that. So trying to understand that, having that practice of learning new stuff, I think that would help in the long run.
Okay, nice. So we were streaming this meet on YouTube as well. So some of the people who are watching it on YouTube have asked some questions.
Yeah.
So somebody named Ayans has asked how to overcome nervousness while giving interviews. Like you have a lot of experience regarding this.
I think one of the things that would definitely help there is having mock interviews. Again, there are a lot of sites that help you do it, or just do it amongst yourself. Like two friends can sit there and do that. The nervousness comes, at least for me, it came from going in a situation that is an unknown. So you don't know what's going to happen the first time you're going for an interview, and that is where it comes from. So you can even practice alone, like have a bunch of questions, sit in front of the mirror and try to answer those things. So that way you can look at your face, you can understand, okay, I'm looking nervous, or things like that. So practice there would help a lot, and not just like coding practice, but talking to people. I think a lot of these big companies require you to have a good English command on English, mostly because you'll be working with a lot of folks, not just from India, right? So they want you to have a good grasp of English. So just like you can have one day in your friend circle where you're just talking in English. So practice that, practice talking about when maybe you're having a study group. In that, you especially ask the person who's teaching you to talk in English. If you have that, if you are used to talking English, talking about technical stuff in English, you would you will lose a lot of that nervousness. Practice again there would help a lot.
Yeah, so it basically means that it's just not about the implementation of the questions that has been asked. It is also about how you think, the way you think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you might have the best solution for a program, but if you're not able to communicate that well, if the interviewer is not able to understand what you're trying to say, then there's no point having that great solution.
Yeah. Okay. So, talking about the interviews, the one way to get to a good interview is having referrals. So, how can one ask for referrals except from you? Because your referral is fixed to me.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
getting that one.
definitely. I think good way is one, as you mentioned, that there are a lot of off-campus things happening. So usually they have that online link where you can apply. Otherwise, you can ping. I know a lot of folks have pinged me. So if you know somebody who's working in a company where you want to go, or if there are a friend of friend, go through those friends, or basically just approach. I think there's no harm in sending somebody a message which is like a polite, respectful message that I'm looking for a job in company XYZ. I see that you are doing great there. Would you mind referring me? Because referring costs nothing. At least for me, I would like, if any one of you clears it, I would get a referral bonus. So it's a great thing for me. So I think most of the
Nice.
people would not mind. Usually companies have these sites on their internal portal where you can just upload a resume, and it's not like if you put up a bad resume, anybody's going to come to you and say, how, why did you refer this person or something. So there's nothing to lose and a referral bonus to earn. So I think a lot of people might be open about referring you. So approach HRs, especially HRs, because they are on the lookout for new candidates. So make sure your LinkedIn is up to date. Add your projects, add your skills. Maybe have some people collaborate with you and have those. I'm forgetting. There's a testimonial kind of a thing on LinkedIn as well, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
ask people to,
Self-assessment tests.
yeah, yeah. So do those things. If you have any certificates, put that up, and just ping people on LinkedIn. I think that's one of the best ways.
Talking about the certificates and those tests, are
Hmm.
do those things matter? What is the weightage? Like the certifications have more weightage or the proof of work?
No, proof of work, definitely. I think these certificates, these tests, they're all good to have. It doesn't mean that you, if you have a certificate, you'll definitely get a job. Your work is the thing that matters.
Okay. So Abhishek Kumar has asked that how to maintain consistency in competitive programming. Now let me reframe it as how to maintain consistency in general, even if you are doing anything like preparing for your semester exams, doing development, ML, AI, be it
Yeah.
anything. How to maintain consistency in general.
I think it's just about having a plan. So let's say you have a project, right? And you have 3 months to do it. If you write 10 lines of code every day, that would get you better results rather than saying, I'll sit down for a week, I won't sleep at all, and I just code the whole thing. It works for anything. Like if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to eat healthy, anything, basically, not just work. Doing small things, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes every day, has a much better result than doing maybe 10 hours one day. So
Yeah.
whether it's competitive programming, whether it's anything related to projects, anything, don't wait till the end to like, I'll finish off everything in a day or two. Make sure that if you have time, do it every day.
Okay. So the one more thing that comes to my mind is that whenever we are learning some new technology, like let's suppose we are learning JavaScript or anything. So one thing that usually comes to your mind that okay, I won't make a big project unless and until I have figured out what JavaScript completely is. So is that a good way, or is it like okay, you start learning and along with that you start making a project? So you would learn along the way. So learning along the way is better, or is it like no, I would one day become the perfectionist of JavaScript and I would start making a project?
So if you wait to become the perfectionist of anything, that's not going to happen. There are always new things coming up. There are always new versions of it coming up. New things that you can do with something. Not just JavaScript, any programming language you take. So. What you can do is basically there are again a lot of these learning sessions on LinkedIn, maybe there are a lot of sites that have these small 2 or 3 hours of teaching stuff where they tell you about the basics. So you learn about the syntax, you learn about how to write, basically how to add two numbers, you learn how to write a for loop and things like that. So do those. I think 2 or 3 hours would not make a difference, but then start working on something, because again, all of these programming languages are vast, and if you try to learn everything and then get into a project, you'll probably end up not doing the project at all. And there are so many things that you can't even get to know about all of them. So I
Yeah.
think do a basic training on something and then start working on a project. Once you start working on a project, I'm telling you, like the first few days will feel like, oh, I don't understand anything. But that's a good place to be, because at least you know what are the things that you don't know. And then you can start learning about those things. And slowly, slowly you can build up on that.
Yeah, do and learn. That's the way.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So somebody in the meet also has asked a question. Her name is Ojaswita OJ. Okay. So she has asked, I would like to ask a question: how to make decisions to keep our graph going up professionally as well
Mhm.
as personally. So
Um, I think saying that graph up is it's a very subjective thing. Everybody's up graph looks different. There are people who might do great, especially in women I've seen, but then after a few years of experience they might stop working and then give more time to the family. It's a great place to be. You are, I would call that as a graph up as well. There are people who go with a smaller company then go to a bigger company. That's a graph up as well. There are people who work for a bigger company and then go for it may be their own startup or somebody else's startup. That's also a graph up. So I think that keeping that graph up is definitely a personal thing. If you're doing something that gives you joy, if you're not cursing yourself for making those decisions, then I think that it would be a graph up. And a very important thing for that is knowing what are the things that are happening around you, being up to date. Maybe these are the different companies that are out there, these are the different startups that are out there, these are the different technologies that are out there. So learning those things and then making a personal decision of what you want to do would definitely help keeping that graph up. If at any point of time you feel that your job or your personal life is becoming very easy, you know exactly how to do everything, and you end up thinking at the night of the day, wow, today was very easy, then you're basically getting stagnant. If
yes,
at the end
yes.
of the day you're not learning new things, if you are not uh, let's say trying out new stuff, then I would say you're getting stagnant. But as long as you're exploring new things, going deeper into things that excite you, then I think you're going with your graph up.
So like talking about being stagnant, I would say that whenever we give exams like JE or AI triple E, and we don't get into it because we haven't been into it, that's why we are here today. So a kind of void gets created in your mind that okay, I have not been able to do that. Maybe I was of the breed which did it, I belong to that breed, but I couldn't make it. So how to overcome that void, that okay, no, it's not a big deal and you should start fresh.
I think one of the things that's really important there, and I think I can give you all the gyan right now, but that definitely comes with experience,
Yes.
is there's no such thing as good or bad. Like for example, take the example of me and my husband, right? I'm from from IRT, which is technically a tier 3 company. My husband is from IIT Kharagpur, but today in life we are at the same point. So
Yes.
just because maybe a lot of things affect your marks and these competitive exams, right? Maybe when you were giving an exam there were a lot of people who did study a lot, maybe somebody else was giving an exam and there were people who were not studying at all. So like having this comparison in mind that this is good and this is bad, I think that is what usually causes that void. Maybe like if like let's say if I hadn't got into Amazon, I would probably had continued with my MTech. I would have learned for 2 years and then maybe gone to another company, and maybe the path would look a little different, but no one's to say that that would have been bad, right? So similarly, like if you are trying to make yourself better, if you're trying hard, if you're not just like saying that I give up, I'm not going to do anything, then there's no such thing as good or bad. You didn't get into IIT, fine. You got into IRT. It's a good place to be. If you're learning well, you'll get into a good company. Maybe you don't get into a good company first time you go, but then you go after 2 years down the line, you are like one of the top positions in a startup, and that startup is doing really well, and suddenly you're a millionaire. So
Yeah.
you
Yes.
don't know where life will take you.
Yep.
Like I have this friend again from IRT. I think she wasn't very happy with her performance in school. She wasn't very happy with her performance when she got into a company. But then slowly she realized that IT was not for her. She switched gears. She's into graphics today, and she's doing really well. So I think it's a lot about exploring these things, and instead of just saying that, okay, I'm not good, or maybe I'm not good enough to get into one of these good colleges, so maybe my career is going to be really bad. That's not true. Just keep exploring, and you'll definitely get some good place.
Yeah, okay. Nice. So, like, summing down to what you just said means that we should not consider success as a point in life, but
Yep.
it is a journey that keeps on
Yeah,
going and you
exactly.
succeed in life.
Exactly.
Nice. So, like, talking about, we have talked about so many things. Now we should talk about some pressurized thing that we go through on a daily basis. Whenever we are in college, there are too many things to do. Like, every third month, because talking about my personal batch, we are of the COVID batch. So every
Uh-huh.
month we get a information that okay, your semesters had been short. It's no
Uh,
more like 6 months. It's sometimes 4 months, sometimes 5 months, 3 months. So every fifth or third month, fourth month, we have in semester exams, and we are also trying to do like DSA or development or MLA, anything. We are learning technology, so there are so many things to do. So how to manage our time, how to manage the time, that okay, from this point of time I would start studying for the semesters, or I should do it like on a daily basis.
I think that definitely is a personal choice. For me, in terms of exam, I know I'm going to against what I just told you guys, but my exams I usually used to study the last week. Like even if I tried studying before that, I wouldn't be able to. So the last 1 week I'll sit and like learn everything, try to cram up everything that I can. But I think it's definitely a personal choice. This is a great time. You talk about pressure. When I compare your life to my life, I think you are in a golden period. Right now I have to juggle between a job, my daughter, and all the household stuff and everything. So but it's a good practice. So if you're suddenly thrown into a situation where you have tons of things to do and you don't know how to do it, then it's going to be worse. But it's a good practice. So for example, let's say your your semester was cut short. Instead of 6 months, it's 4 months. So you give your exam in 4 months, and then you have these 2 months where you can do any you can explore these things, right? You can work on a project, you can start learning a new thing. So it's more about adapting to the situation that you are in.
Yeah.
And then one thing that I have found helpful is just making a to-do list. It's usually like it sounds very nerdy, but I usually make those lists and forget about it. But when I write these things down, at least I can wrap my head around that these are the things that I have to do. I probably won't come back to that to-do list, but in my mind now I have that these are the things that I need to do, and then I can plan. Okay, I'll do this on this particular day. Maybe this is not that important, so I can keep it a little later. But most of the time I think when I am overwhelmed is when I have this thing in my mind that I have a lot of work to do, but I don't exactly know what are the things that I need to do. So having a list of those things and then making a plan around it. Your plan could be like, if you're a very particular person, you can make a plan for a whole day that these are the things that I'm going to do. If you're less particular, you can make a weekly plan, you can make a monthly plan, you can make a yearly plan, and maybe not even stick to that plan 100%. But just creating that plan would help you understand, okay, these are the things that I should be working on, these are important, these are not so important, but it will help you prioritize. And remember that you can't do everything in life. There will be
Yes.
things that you will have to miss on. Maybe it could be a birthday party, maybe it could be a fresher function, it could be one of those technical festivals, something you'll have to miss out on something.
Yeah.
And there is again no right or wrong there. It's absolutely personal. If you think that something is important to you, even if everyone else says it's not important, go do it. Like, don't listen to others, first listen to yourself.
Yes, yes, and I won't say that making a to-do list is a nerdy thing, because it takes people to Google, Amazon, and whatnot. Okay, so there has been one another question from Neelaksh Singh, that in which company she enjoyed working most and her experience. So, what company you enjoyed working most?
I think I hope nobody from my current company is hearing that. But I think till
I,
so
I,
far.
I guess it would be I guess it would be night in US. So yeah, Sundar is not watching definitely.
No, so my favorite has been Facebook so far. mostly because of a lot of they put a lot of focus on developer experience. I've heard that Google does the same, but as I mentioned, I was working for a startup that was acquired by Google, so we didn't have those things. So hopefully in the next few years, and most of my time, I joined Google in January last year, and around 7-8 months of that was maternity leave. So that's why I am still not used to. So maybe Google might be better, might be similar. I don't know, but so far I think I've really enjoyed Facebook, the work that I was doing there, the team that I had. It was absolutely wonderful. I think not a lot of folks would have idea about it, but there are a lot of things that go into building your code and then deploying it on the cloud or wherever they're hosted. So they had all these minor things that probably make you feel like, what am I doing? What kind of shitty thing that I'm doing? They had automated that, and there were a specific team that was just going into making the developers' life easy. So because of that, you just worked on solving a problem, which was the most exciting part of your work. So I was working for this team that was creating templates for ads, basically adding a bit more animations and graphics. So again, because it was animations and graphics, that was also the reason why I loved it. But the technologies that we were working on, mostly it was all internal. So probably nothing that would be useful in the outside world. But it was an interesting experience. And the culture at the London office was really good. I think people accepted you for who you are. Compared to that, I think we are a lot more rigid in India. I think that's changing. That's definitely changing a lot, especially with some of these big companies. But you could basically be who you are there, and you could choose and pick that these are the things that I would want to work on. So that's why it has been my favorite so far.
Yeah, I guess people from London have no choice other than being nice to us because they owe us a lot, including.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay, I would see some other questions. So somebody has asked that how many backup plans should one have, considering at a particular job, like I should have a job. So what are the backup plans one should have?
Um, that's a very, I would say you have to balance there a lot. Mostly because if you have too many options, then you don't focus on one and then probably end up not getting anything. But if you don't have a lot of options, and if you don't get any of those, then you're basically in a situation where you don't have anything. Like the good number for me so far has been around 3 or 4. Every time I've given an interview, I've applied for, let's say, 5 or 6 companies. 2 or 3 might not reply, or maybe I wouldn't like the work that they're doing. So apply to 5 and 6, give the interviews for 3 and 4. More than that becomes a little hectic because all of these interviews, especially now, if they are happening offline, you have a lot. You have to prepare for them. You have to give those interviews. You probably have to take a day off from your current work. So more than that, having more than that might become a little difficult. You can of course apply, like give these 4 interviews and then apply again, but simultaneously I would go for 3 to 4.
Okay, okay. So when you were talking about your experience in Google, you said that they have automated a lot of things. So considering about the automation, AI, and all those things, how would you consider that the talk of being software engineering jobs being going down? So what's your take on that?
See, I don't feel these jobs are going down because somebody has to write that AI job, right? Somebody has to train that model. Somebody has to write applications on top. Just having a great model that predicts correct things is not going to work in the long run. You have to have an application on top of it. Like people need to use that, and not everybody is great at coding that they'll use a library or something, right? So you need a program on top of that. So I don't feel these jobs are going down. I do feel that they're changing a lot. So, like previously, you used to write a lot of low level machine code. Now you write in programming languages. Similarly, maybe tomorrow you'll write maybe in English language. You'll tell AI that write me a program that plays a music instrument or something. So the way that you work is definitely changing, and I think it's a good thing because if you're not changing, then you get bored out of the same things. So it's changing, but I wouldn't say it's going down. You just have to adapt yourself. You have to learn these new technologies that are coming up, and if you're able to do that, then you'll still remain relevant in what you're doing.
Okay, okay. So Ayush has asked that he's not from a core branch, like he's not from CS, he's from some other branch such as electronics or civil. So how can he manage to do things quickly and get a job in IT company?
I think the same things apply here as well. As I said, initially you may have a little bit of problem because a lot of companies might not select your CV itself, which is why go for something that comes to campus. Maybe if TCS is coming, go for it. Working there for a year or two is not bad. So you work there, you learn basics, and then you've converted yourself now from a civil graduate to a software developer. So it's a good place to be where you change the title for yourself and then go for these big companies, which does not mean that you should not aim high, and if you should that you should not apply for these bigger companies from the get go. If you can apply everywhere, you never know, right? Like maybe somebody is in a good mood and they shortlist 10 CVs rather than just 5. So apply everywhere. It will be a little harder, especially because you have to, for passing your exams, you do have to study your core subject as well as all these CS things. It will be a little harder, but if you're enthusiastic about it, if you want to do something in that field, learn about stuff, maybe have friends that are there in the CS field, talk to them, see what they're learning. A lot of theory from college does not help you in the longer run, but they are needed to clear the fresher interviews. So learn about those things. Maybe don't go a lot in detail if you don't have a lot of time, but learn the higher concepts, the bigger concepts, and then do go on these cups like Career Cup or Geek for Geeks, where you get these questions, that these are the questions that are being asked in the interviews. So read about those. The things that are maybe lists and trees and maps might be more abundant in the question, so learn about them. Don't learn about DQ or something that are not asked so often. So you will have to prioritize there again. Like you can't be a graduate from two subjects, so you will have to figure out that these are the important things, and it might be a little harder, but if you're up for it, I think there's nothing stopping you. Just work hard for it and you can get it.
Okay, so earlier when anybody used to apply for jobs, there were two kinds of people mostly, like the IITians in the off-campus placements, the IITians and people from tier two, tier three, and some people who have some experience. But as the recession has come along the way, the number of people who have greater experience, good experience in good companies has increased. So now there might be way too much competition for people who are currently in their fourth year, or who are going to be in the fourth year, or in the last year in
Yeah.
the coming years. So how can one prepare himself for such situations where he would be competing with people who have already worked in Google or something like that?
That's absolutely true, but that's also like things change. These things never remain the same. Like today maybe there are not a lot of jobs, so you go for a smaller company, but 1 year down the line there are more jobs, people are hiring more, and then it becomes easier. So I think just remember that for you just need one seat. So it doesn't matter if there are 100 seats out there or 200 seats out there. For you just need that one seat. And if you're not able to get that one seat today, maybe you'll get it tomorrow, because from the past 12 years of experience, I know that things keep changing. When I was going for those my placements, the batch just before me, there was a big recession in US, so there were not a lot of jobs. But the next year when we were giving interviews, there were a lot of jobs, and a lot of folks that were not placed in a good position the previous year went ahead and applied then also and changed their jobs. So just because you're not able to get something today, there's nothing stopping you from just going after it and still getting it next year. And if you think about it, what's a year when you have like 60, 70 years of life, right? So if you have to sacrifice a year to maybe get into a better company, it's fine. It's just that don't give up. Just keep going after it.
Okay, so somebody has asked a really interesting question. His name is Vikas Kumar Kashyap. So he asked that you have worked in different companies, so you might have had to change your domain, or is it like you are working in only one domain and you have continued that in different companies? So how you do it if you change the domains, and if you don't, so what domain you are currently working in?
I think I have changed my domain a lot. When I joined Amazon, it was more around e-commerce. When I went to Walmart, it was more around advertising. Facebook was more about core technical thing where we were building a platform for the ads team. And right now, I think I'm going back to e-commerce. So I think yeah, if you look at on a high level, it's been e-commerce and advertising. But from a technical point of view, I don't think there's a lot of difference between all of these different domains. There might be a difference if, let's say, currently I have to work a lot with videos compared to when I was working with Amazon e-commerce. It was less about videos, it was more about internal tools and stuff. So I think for me, I've really enjoyed changing my domain because it means I get to learn new things. I really enjoy that. Currently with videos, I think this is something that I really like, so probably I'll try to go deeper into it for at least a couple of years more. But it's again, I would say it's a very personal choice. There are a lot of folks who find what they love at the first go. So maybe the first company that you work for, you end up working in a domain that you really love, and you just go deeper and deeper into that. Or if you like me, you haven't found your love yet, then you just explore. Probably I think I found it now. But let's see.
Okay. You might have found your love of life, but not the love of your career. Okay. So whenever we learn things like any technology or anything, or even the normal DSA, we sometimes imagine that how is it different from the real work that we do in the companies. So is it the kind of same, or what is the kind of difference or the margin of difference that we see in a real company versus what we learn when we are in college?
I think it's very different. Recently, a couple of weeks back, I actually had to the first time I had to write the code for a graph. So I was just talking to a friend. I was telling them that 10 years ago, I learned all this graph theory and everything, and then it's coming in handy now. But again, because that was such a complex problem and the results were not very it. So there's a huge difference between what you learn in college and then what you end up doing. But as I said, right, college basically teaches you how to learn things. So if you are able to grasp complex topics like graph theory, maybe automata and all those things, then you know that in life, when you are going for a job and they give you some complex problems to solve, you have that ability. You know how to learn new things. You know how to figure out where to go for answers and things like that. So I think in that sense, it helps you develop that really good skill of trying to solve problems. But I think for me, at least, I haven't used a lot of things that I used in theory in college.
Okay, okay. So you talked about theory of automata. If there is one subject that I fear the most, it's theory of automata. It's just that. So talking about our computer science subjects, what are those subjects that are useful in an interview?
I think I'm not sure if you guys are learning, but the programming language that we learned was Java. That was really helpful because you need one language. If you're not comfortable with Java, you can learn your own. We also, I think, we learned C also. C and Java, we learned that. So either of these would be really helpful. So having a good command on the programming language. Syntax doesn't matter so much. Like if you're saying a dot length or a dot size, it's okay. You can make those differences, but knowing when to put a semicolon, how to write for loops, how to write while loops, what is the difference between while and do while, all these things will be really helpful when you're giving an interview. In terms of theory, I think like for me, I gave the interview for TCS, and they asked these theoretical questions as well, like multi-threading and what difference between iteration and recursion. They did get into that, maybe a little bit about graph theory. Automata, I don't think I've ever had anyone who asked me a question about automata in an interview.
Okay, seems like the interview would go easy for me.
Yeah. Then we had another of this subject that was algorithms was there. Da, we used to call that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Algorithms are helpful, like sorting and searching and all those things. That is helpful. Graph theory, a little like one or two questions I've heard being asked. But again, all of this is on your first year when you're just coming out of college. I think all the interviews that I've given after that, it's mostly been around problem solving and coding, which is like they'll give you a programming question, you have to come up with a solution for that and then write the code for it. And the other thing is design. So writing initially, like for the first few years, writing a class design. These are the classes, these will be the member functions, and this is how they will interact with each other. And then later on, doing bigger stuff, like once you have like 5 6 years of experience, then how would you design Twitter, or how would you design Instagram and things like that. So again, there are some really good resources out there where you can read up on it, and a lot of it comes from experience, like what technologies to use, where to use maybe a messaging system, where to use a queue, where to use a stack, all of those things, that comes a lot with experience. And if you are reading up on it, and if you are using some of these things in your work, I think at the end you'll be able to crack those interviews.
Okay, okay. So, in an interview, how much time is given to the projects that we have made? Is there a talk upon that, or is it like some interviews take upon that and some just skip it?
uh, I think each company has its own format. For Amazon, we basically had, I think, two coding interviews. One was around a managerial round, which was a little bit around design, and that is where the manager, who was the hiring manager, he asked some questions around the projects and the things that we learned in college. And the fourth round was an HR round, which is kind of like, if you're being honest there, it's a piece of cake. That's kind of the easiest round. So they're mostly asking you about your hobbies, and they're basically checking whether you're a culture fit or not. So if you're not like abusing them there or showing temper tantrums or anything, you'll be able to clear this. But
Okay.
as you grow, like for example, currently with the Google interviews, I had two coding rounds. Coding rounds, I think, have been a consistent thing throughout. Then there were two design questions, like bigger designs, like Twitter or Instagram kind of question. There's a round called Googliness, which is similar to the HR round, where they are basically, so there also they ask you questions like, have you ever been in a situation where you got into a disagreement with your manager, and how did you solve it? So they're basically trying to see if you're put in a bad situation, or if you're in a stressful
Yeah,
situation.
how would you tackle that?
Yeah. So they basically ask you examples from your past experience, and then what did you do? If there's something you didn't do right, what would you do differently if the same situation arises in future? And then with these Google rounds, there was like 5 minutes at the beginning where we're just doing introductions. So there you talk about the projects that you're working on, the kind of team that you have, and all those things.
Okay, okay. So, you said that the interview that you gave for the London office of the Facebook was a bit different from the interviews that you usually given in India.
Mhm.
So, were those interviews more challenging? Like how they were different from the ones that are held in India?
So I think one thing that definitely was challenging was communication, because the person you're talking to, they might be, they could be German, they could be Italian, so they have that accent, right? And then you have that accent, so understanding each other and having that, so that is where practice of English language comes in very handy. Apart from that, I think interviews in terms of what is expected out of you, I think I had a good experience there, mostly because the experience you have in India is a bit more challenging than you have in these countries outside. I have interviewed a lot of folks that were from different, like, I'm not stereotyping, I'm not generalizing or anything, but my
Okay.
experience has been that the candidates that I've interviewed who are from India are much more prepared. They have much more command over what they are working on. They are like, probably because we are more maggoos than them.
Yeah, correct, correct.
Yeah, but, I've had that experience, like with some of the folks I have had, like even for Facebook and Google, I had interviewed people who are utterly unprepared. Like even the simplest of questions they can't do. I had this experience with a very senior, like I think they were hiring him for a very senior position, and I gave him this programming question, and he was like, "I don't code. I don't like in my current thing. I don't code." And I was like, didn't the HR tell you that this is what is that you're supposed to do? I've had
Okay.
all of those experiences, but mostly like it's a bit more challenging in India compared to compared to there. but that doesn't mean that if you are that you should just go for foreign companies. I think
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have to work here and build up that knowledge base and experience before going there. And but overall, I feel that if you are working for a good company, work wise it's kind of similar, the kind of work that you get there. It's a bit more easier to get really good projects, mostly because most of these companies have their hubs or the headquarters in US or in Europe. So some of the but a lot of that is changing because uh, Indian folks are really good at the technical stuff. So that's
yeah,
a lot of people are now trying to send those projects to India.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Nice.
very
Yeah, you're talking about most of the Indians run these companies. I was just seeing a reel yesterday. So some guy was saying that somebody asked to that guy that India, what are the equivalents of Amazon, Google, and all that in India? So he said, yeah, the equivalents are Amazon, Google, and YouTube, because three of them are run by the Indians and two of them have the biggest markets in India. So
yeah.
yeah, so Indians are everywhere, I guess. Okay, so. Uh, I would see if there is any other question, and if not, then we will wrap this session.
Sure.
So I guess we have been through all the questions that were there. So
Okay.
and yeah, we have taken up a lot of time from
Yeah,
you.
that's absolutely my pleasure.
Okay. So Aditi, if there is anything else that I have left upon, so just you can touch that if you can
Yeah,
hear.
yeah, sure. Ma'am, I just want to ask the what is the sir's LinkedIn ID to get.
Abhinav Anand, his name is. I'll send you on chat.
Okay, as Raghav is getting a referral from you, so I have LinkedIn.
Hey, please feel free to share my LinkedIn ID. Feel free to add me there. And if any of you want me to share your resume, I'm not sure. Like a lot of big companies are not taking freshers right of college without campus interviews. But today, years down the line, anytime if you need any help, any guidance, I'll be happy to do that.
Sure, ma'am, sure. Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking time out of your busy schedule for this wonderful session. I would like to appreciate the effort of host Raghav Pandey to make this session this much interactive.
Thank you,
It's
thank
our
you.
it's our pleasure to have a tech talk with you, ma'am. And GDSC IRT is greatly honored to have you with us.
I had a lot of good time talking to you guys as well.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. I would like to end this by saying again a namaskar and so much thank you for being with us today.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay.
Give